Priyanand Agre, convener of this webinar, Environment and Pandemic Preparedness, welcome all of you on the behalf of the EcoNITS Foundation and Swachh Badlo Gaon Badlo team. I here welcomes India's visionary and intellectual leader, policymaker, Honorable Suresh Prabhuji. He is the parliamentarian for 32 years, lead portfolios of the various ministries in the government of India, advisory board member of the EcoNITS Foundation, and today's keynote speaker for the webinar. I also welcome today's panelist, Dr. Satyapal Singh Meena, sir, Joint Director of the Income Tax, MP, former Vice Chancellor of the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Dr. B.H. Chopade, sir, Dr. Parag Sadgir, sir, Professor and Environmentalist, College Professor from the College of Engineering, Pune, and a well-known environmentalist. Dr. Vijay Kumar, former Vice Chancellor of the Gulbarga University, Karnataka. Dr. Ravindra Kanere, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, Indira Gandhi Open University, Delhi. Dr. Arvind Mungre, sir, Professor from the NIT Surat. Dr. M.P. Paswan, NIT Jamshedpur. Uma Baluji, freelance writer from the Tamil Nadu. Also, in this discussion, there are the various journalists and professors throughout the India joining us today. I welcome to all of you. It will be relevant here to make all of you know about the EcoNITS Foundation and its various activities. EcoNITS Foundation is well known for its global eco-revolution movement. Foundation has developed the India's first smart village, Dhanora, in the Rajasthan as a model of sustainable development. EcoNITS Foundation organizes the different various eco-revolution conferences in different nations to have the platform for the common citizens, politicians, spiritual leaders, so that the environmental problem is going to be discussed and the solution should be given from the local to from global to the local level. Also, Foundation developed the world's first environmental social networking site, ecoface.in. Foundation is leading the movement of legislation on the right to water. Foundation wants to everyone getting the right to water. In the general, Foundation is working at the global and the local for the environmental conservation, rural development, education and the health. In the corona epidemics, Foundation provided the foods to the poor peoples, needy peoples, migrant workers, as well as Foundation developed the Corona Warrior rover, and now Foundation also giving the different suggestions to the government how to combat this pandemic. And today we are going to be conducting this webinar also. So EcoNITS Foundation in this pandemic working at the several angles and in the several way to serve for the society. One hand we are serving the foods to the poor, another hand one by the technologically we are helping to the doctors, and another hand we are conducting the webinar through the intellectual class of the society and providing the solution for controlling the pandemic. Now let us come on the topic of the present webinar. All of we know that this COVID-19 pandemic has engulfed entire humanity. In the known history of the human civilization, we first time come across with a situation when entire human civilization has stopped itself and has become worried about its existence. This, till this date, Global leaders only have discussed the issues relating to economy, industry, and trade. And sometimes they have discussed the issues on the environment. But in these talks of the environment, their prime concern was industry and the trade and not the environment. This global leadership failed to foresee the possibility of emergency of pandemic like COVID-19. The measures to be undertake for its prevention and mitigation. Finally, our unsustainable and irresponsible handling of affair resulting into this global pandemic of COVID-19. In this pandemic, in one hand, human society is fighting for its existence, and in other hand, the rest of the nature and ecology is flourishing. They are enjoying wholesomeness of the water and air and celebrating the revival of ecology and biodiversity. This situation has given rise to several questions and issues as like after all human beings are also the creation of the nature and well-being of human society is enshrined in the well-being of the nature. Then how in this pandemic humans are in peril and rest of the nature is celebrating its revival? It means we need to correct our course of action. Whether this pandemic is outcome of irresponsible, unsustainable material development, whether this pandemic is a phenomenon of the nature to short equilibrium by putting restriction on the entire social, political, religious, industrial, and economical activity of the human society. What should be our preparedness to avoid such kind of pandemic and to mitigate the situation like this pandemic in the future course of our action? Whether the instrument of the lockdown could be used in the future as one of the effective tool for the environmental conservation. There are the several other issues like the migrant workers, like strengthening the medical facility, like the strengthening the administrative services in the proportion with the population need to be addressed. In this webinar, our esteemed delegates from the various fields will enlighten us by covering these various aspects, questions and issues. Now I would like to request Honorable Suresh Prabhuji to enlighten us with his keynote address. Honorable Suresh Prabhuji.
जब वो मुंबई की बहुत ही प्रख्यात, विश्वसनीय और जानी मानी विजेटीआई में अभी एक प्रोफेसर का काम करते थे, उस समय भी मैंने उनकी जो रुचि देखी वो हमेशा समाज के उत्थान में थी। शिक्षा के माध्यम से बदलाव लाना चाहिए, ये तो उनकी प्राथमिकता थी, इसके लिए तो पढ़ा रहे थे, लेकिन साथ ही में समाज के उत्थान के लिए किस रास्ते से हम चल सकते हैं कि जिसके सहारे जो लोगों को अपनी जरूरत है, ऐसे लोगों को, जरूरतमंद लोगों तक हम किस तरह से पहुंच पाएंगे, ये हमेशा उनकी सोच थी। उसी तरह से उनकी कार्यशैली भी थी। उन्होंने एक इको रिवॉल्यूशन नाम का एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप बनाया है, जिसमें बहुत सारे देश के जाने माने लोग जो पर्यावरण को लेते हुए समाज का पुनरुत्थान करना चाहते हैं, ऐसे लोगों को उन्होंने उसके साथ में जोड़ा भी है। इसलिए सभी लोगों को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं कि मेरा भी ऐसे अच्छे लोगों के साथ में ताल्लुकात इस ग्रुप के बहाने हुआ है। इसके लिए आप सबको मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद भी देता हूँ और उम्मीद रखता हूँ आने वाले दिनों में हमें और कुछ साथ में काम करने का मौका भी मिलेगा। वैसे आज का कार्यक्रम एक अहम विषय के ऊपर है, पर्यावरण और आज की महामारी। महामारी के कारण हम सब परेशान है, उसकी वजह से तो इस माध्यम से हम एक दूसरे से संवाद प्रस्थापित कर रहे हैं। लेकिन ये महामारी जो है उसका सामना करने के लिए वैक्सीन ढूंढी जा रही है, इलाज किस तरह से हो इसके ऊपर चर्चा शुरू है। और ये सब होते समय हजारों लोग दुर्भाग्य से पूरे विश्व में उसका शिकार भी बन रहे हैं। लाखों लोग उससे पीड़ित रहे हैं, हजारों लोगों की मौत हो चुकी है। और ऐसे सिलसिले में, ऐसे माहौल में ये सोचना जरूरी है कि इसकी वजह क्या हो सकती है। वैसे तो वजह भी ढूंढी जा रही है, ना तो मैं इसमें किसी भी हैसियत से, ये मेरा हक नहीं बनता कि मैं उसके ऊपर कुछ मेरे बोल प्रदान करूं, लेकिन मैं ये जरूर कह सकता हूं कि कहीं ना कहीं पर्यावरण और सिर्फ यही महामारी नहीं, बहुत सारी आज की जो हमारी कठिनाइयां हैं इसका बहुत ही गहरा संबंध रह चुका है। वैसे हमारी संविधान जब बनाया जा रहा था और हमने महामानव भारत रत्न डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी ने जो एक तोहफा पूरे देश के सभी लोगों के लिए दिया, लेकिन खास करके ऐसे लोगों को दिया कि जो पीड़ित थे, वंचित थे, ऐसे लोगों को जो तोहफा दिया गया, उस समय भी हमारे संविधान बना के समय किसी ने नहीं सोचा था कि हमारी देश की आबादी इतनी प्रगल्भ होगी, इतनी आगे जाके सोचेगी कि जो प्रकृति की देन है, पानी हो, हवा हो, पूरी बायोडाइवर्सिटी हो, हम इसको इतने जल्द खत्म कर पाएंगे। इसलिए हमें जो फंडामेंटल राइट दिए गए, मूलभूत अधिकार हमें प्रदान दिए गए, इसमें पर्यावरण, राइट टू एनवायरमेंट, ये राइट नहीं था क्योंकि हमें लगा नहीं था। बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर भी ऐसे सोचे होंगे कि हमारे लोग इतने काबिल नहीं बनेंगे कि इसको सब खत्म ही कर देंगे। लेकिन आज पूरे विश्व में हमने प्रकृति की देन को खत्म करने की एक बहुत बड़ी जोर से एक शरीर चलाई है। साथ ही में हमारे देश में भी पर्यावरण की बड़ी मात्रा में हानि हो रही है। तो शायद इसी को सोचते हुए प्रियानी जी ने आप हम सबको इकट्ठा किया है कि क्यों ना हम हमारी ताकत को जोड़ते हुए इसको सही माने में जो प्रकृति की देन है उसकी रक्षा करें, और जो प्रकृति ने पहले दे चुके थे और आज हमने उसको नष्ट कर रहे हैं उसको भी पुनर्जीवित करें। तो ये सोचते हुए अच्छा काम हो रहा है। और मुझे लगता है कि देश की बहुत सारी समस्या और विश्व की बहुत सारी समस्या वो आज पर्यावरण की हरण के कारण पैदा हुई है। एक तो महामारी, आज की जो कोरोना वायरस, आज करीबन बहुत सारे लोगों की राय यह है विश्व की, जिसमें बड़े बड़े शास्त्रज्ञ भी सम्मिलित है, उनका यह कहना है कि कहीं ना कहीं जानवर से ये वायरस ह्यूमन बींग्स में आ गई। अब ये कहना तो आसान हुआ कि वहां से यहाँ आ गए और हम बेचारे जानवरों को अभी उसके लिए दोषारोपित ठहरेंगे। लेकिन ये सोचने की जरूरत है कि आदमी और जानवर, इनमें जो एक सीमा रेखा बनी हुई थी वो किसने तोड़ी? आप सबने नेचुरल हिस्ट्री ऑफ ह्यूमन रेस पढ़ी होगी, इसमें साबित होता है कि कुछ लाखों साल पहले जब ह्यूमन इस प्लेनेट पे चलना शुरू कर दिए, इससे काफी हजारों साल पहले, लाखों साल पहले यहाँ पर जानवर ही सिर्फ इस पूरे विश्व में अपनी ताकत दिखा रहे थे और उनका ये घर था, उनकी ही ये, इट वॉज एन अबोर्ड ऑफ एनिमल्स। बाद में हम लोग आए और काफी समय तक, हजारों साल तक आने के बाद ह्यूमन बींग्स, हम लोगों ने भी इस बात को माना कि जानवरों का और हमारा रिश्ता किस तरह से बनता रहे। इसलिए हम काफी उनको, उनके साथ रहने के लिए हमने आदत बनाई। ये सही है कि उनको भी हम मारते थे, उन्हीं का मांस हम खाते थे, लेकिन फिर भी कहीं ना कहीं एक मर्यादा रख चुके थे। बाद में ये हुआ कि मानव जाति को अग्नि की परीक्षा मिली, अग्नि का खोज उन्होंने किया। वो करने के बाद जानवरों का और ह्यूमन रेस का रिश्ता बदल गया। हमने अग्नि के कारण बहुत बड़े फॉरेस्ट यहाँ पर थे, उसको भी जलाकर खाक कर दिया, तो जानवर को भी रहने का, उनका जो रहने की जगह थी वो तो नष्ट हो गई। तो जानवर और ह्यूमन बीइंग्स का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कहीं ना कहीं वहीं से शुरू हो गया। लेकिन फिर भी कुछ 500-600 साल पहले तक भी जानवर बहुत ही आसानी से ये प्लेनेट पे रह सकते थे। हमारी आबादी बढ़ गई, आज पूरे विश्व में 750 करोड़ लोग ये इस भूतल पे रह रहे। जितनी आबादी हमारी बढ़ी, उतनी आबादी उनकी कम हुई, तो उनका जो हैबिटाट था, रहने की जगह थी, उसको तो हमने हासिल कर दिया, कब्जा कर लिया, और फिर एनिमल और ह्यूमन का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और बढ़ते गया। ये जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहा था, उसमें बायोडाइवर्सिटी भी बड़ी मात्रा में नष्ट हो गई। और आज बहुत सारे शास्त्रज्ञों का यह मानना है कि बायोडाइवर्सिटी का नष्ट होना यही इस महामारी का, ये पैंडेमिक का एक प्रमुख कारण है। इसके ऊपर काम भी चल रहा है, कंक्लूसिव एविडेंस मिल जाएगा, लेकिन एज वी ऑलवेज से, इट इज बेटर टू अर्न ऑन द राइट साइड। क्योंकि सोच के चलना चाहिए कि पर्यावरण का हनन होने के कारण ही ऐसी समस्या खड़ी हो रही है और आने वाले दिनों में ये समस्या और भी बढ़ती जाएगी। तो इसके वैक्सीन खोजना है तो वैक्सीन खोजिए, कुछ नए मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट करनी है उसके बारे में सोची जाए, लेकिन क्यों ना हम पर्यावरण की रक्षा करें। और पर्यावरण की रक्षा करने के बहुत सारे लाभ भी है। डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी ने इतना विशाल कार्य अपने जीवन काल में किया कि उनका कार्य इतना विशाल था कि लोग उनके इस बहुत बड़े गहन काम को ही जानते हैं। लेकिन ये बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की एक देन है, योगदान है कि उन्होंने पानी के ऊपर भी बहुत बड़ा काम किया। पानी और जाति का जो रिश्ता है उसको लिखे ही किया, लेकिन पानी यदि नहीं रहेगा तो विश्व की समस्या कैसे हो सकती है, उन्होंने सोचा। क्योंकि वो जब लेबर, वाटर रिसोर्सेज, पावर के मंत्री थे, उस समय उन्होंने सेंट्रल वाटर कमीशन बनाया। इन्होंने रिवर वैली का मैनेजमेंट कैसे हो इसके लिए सोचा पहले बार में। देखिए बात ऐसी है कि जो नदी बहती है वो भले ही अलग अलग प्रांतों से जाएगी, अलग अलग देशों से भी जाती है, लेकिन नदी तो एक ही रहती है। जब नदी बनाई गई तब इतने देश नहीं थे, इतने प्रांत नहीं थे। हमने नदी को बांटने की कोशिश की प्रांतों में कि ये महाराष्ट्र की नदी है, गुजरात की नदी है, ये कर्नाटक की नदी है, तमिलनाडु की नदी है, नदी एक ही है। हमने उसको बांटा, नदी चीन से निकलती होगी क्योंकि वो तिब्बत से निकलने वाली बहुत सारी नदियां ब्रह्मपुत्र हमारे पास आती है। तो हमने पूछा ब्रह्मपुत्र हमारी है, लेकिन जो ब्रह्मपुत्र बांग्लादेश में जाती है वो बांग्लादेश की है, और जो ब्रह्मपुत्र चीन से निकलती है वो चीन की है। लेकिन भैया ऐसा नहीं होता है, नदी तो नदी है, उसकी सीमाएं हम तय नहीं कर सकते, वो प्रकृति ने बनाई है। इसलिए बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर जी ने सोचा कि रिवर वैली मैनेजमेंट करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि एक नदी तो एक ही है, तो भले ही हम लोगों ने उसको बांटा होगा लेकिन उसका मैनेजमेंट तो एक ही करना चाहिए जैसे प्रकृति ने सोचा था। तो एक बड़ा योगदान बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर का इसे बहुत सारे मामलों में है जो पानी से निगड़ित है। आज हमारी देश की समस्या जो पर्यावरण से जुड़ी हुई है वो पानी से भी जुड़ी हुई है। यदि हम पानी की समस्या को नहीं सही कर सकते तो आने वाले दिनों में आप और मैं महामारी से जो बचेंगे वो भी पानी की समस्या से खत्म हो जाएंगे। आज भी महामारी नहीं लेकिन बहुत सारी बीमारियां पानी की वजह से ही होती है, तो डायरिया हो या वाटरबोर्न डिसीजेज हो। इसलिए पानी और पर्यावरण का रिश्ता बहुत बड़ा गहरा है। इसलिए पानी एक बहुत बड़ा हमारे लिए एक आह्वानात्मक विषय है, चुनौती का विषय है, वो भी पर्यावरण से जुड़ा है। और महामारी और पानी, महामारी ना हो लेकिन बीमारी और पानी, उसका रिश्ता तो है ही है। हमारे पूरे विश्व में जो भी दवाएं बनाई जाती है उसका मूल क्या है? हम बहुत सारे खुशबूदार परफ्यूम का इस्तेमाल करते हैं, कहां से आते हैं? बहुत सारे केमिकल्स, केमिकल तो भी लेबोरेटरी में बनते हैं, लेकिन उसकी सोच का मूल क्या है? बहुत सारी दवाएं जो बनती है वो सिर्फ कहीं ना कहीं बायोडाइवर्सिटी से रिलेटेड है। मैं 4 बार कोंकण से चुन के आया हूँ, वहां पे एक हॉटस्पॉट ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी है, उसको कहते हैं वेस्टर्न घाट। वो सिर्फ कोंकण का नहीं है, वेस्टर्न घाट निकलता है केरला से और पूरे दक्षिण भारत से पश्चिम भारत तक आता है। अरावली रेंज है हमारे उत्तर भारत में। बहुत सारे हमारे प्रकृति की देन हमारे देश को बहुत बड़ी मात्रा में है। लेकिन वहां पे कोंकण में आंबोली नाम की एक जगह है, वहां पर बहुत बड़ी बारिश होती है, तो बहुत सारे पर्यटक वहां जाते हैं उस समय पानी को देखने के लिए। बहुत ही सुंदर दृश्य रहता है। लेकिन वहां पे एक किसी का पुतला बना हुआ है, और पुतले तो बनते हैं तो इसके लिए हम जानते हैं कि महापुरुषों के बनते हैं। बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी के भी है, महात्मा गांधी जी के भी है, हमारे बड़े महान लोगों के पुतले हर जगह में हम जाके वहां पे प्रार्थना करते हैं। लेकिन ये जो पुतला है वो ऐसे कोई बड़े जाने माने महापुरुषों का नहीं है, वो ऐसे एक आदमी का है। उसका काम था, ही वॉज अ शेफर्ड, धनगर जिसको मराठी में कहते हैं। तो उसका पुतला क्यों बनाया गया? वो जो वेस्टर्न घाट की बायोडाइवर्सिटी है उसको जानने वाला आदमी था, पढ़ा लिखा नहीं था, लेकिन ज्ञान तो बहुत बड़ा था। तो उसको ये पता था कि यदि कोई आदमी बीमार है तो जंगल में जाके कुछ ऐसी जड़ी बूटी लेके आता था, वो आदमी को देता था। और डॉक्टर नहीं थे, कोई भी नहीं थे, लेकिन डॉक्टर से भी इलाज में शायद कमी पड़ हो सकती है, लेकिन वो जो दवा देता था उससे लोग बिल्कुल ठीक हो जाते थे। इसके लिए उसका पुतला बनेगा। तो सोचिए कि पूरे विश्व की दवा का मूल ये बायोडाइवर्सिटी है। तो यदि बायोडाइवर्सिटी नष्ट हो जाएगी, पर्यावरण नष्ट हो जाएगा, तो हम कहाँ पे बीमारी का इलाज कर पाएंगे? इसलिए आज जो चर्चा का विषय है पर्यावरण और महामारी, तो उसकी वजह भी प्रियानंद जी आपने सही चुना है कि बायोडाइवर्सिटी नष्ट होती है तो आने वाले दिनों में हम लोग सही मायने में बीमारियों का इलाज नहीं कर पाएंगे। लेकिन बीमारी, क्योंकि आज महामारी विषय है इसके लिए बोल रहा हूं, बीमारी महामारी ये होने के बाद पता चलती है। आपको महामारी है, इसका जब टेस्ट किया जाएगा, लोग डॉक्टर कहेंगे आप पॉजिटिव है, तो आप उसके शिकार बन गए। लेकिन हमारे देश के लोगों की सोच थी कि बीमारी तो आएगी, लेकिन बीमारी को इलाज करने से भी पहला एक कदम हो सकता है। वो क्या है? प्रिवेंशन इज बेटर देन क्योर। क्यों ना हम बीमारी को टालेंगे ही, क्यों हम उसका शिकार बनेंगे, क्यों ना हमें कोशिश करें कि बीमारी हो ही ना सके हमें। इसलिए उसको टालने के भी जो उपाय है वो भी पर्यावरण से जुड़े हुए। इफ यू लिव लाइफ इन line with what nature has already guided us, we'll never be victims of any disease. Not necessarily every human being is bound to die, but we can live a healthy life. How? By following environmental laws. Environment, therefore, is direct link to health care, जो आज का विषय है। Environment, if not taken properly, taken care of properly, will be definitely be subjecting ourselves to various challenges that we'll face in our life. Water is one, land, the way we are polluting, the airborne diseases will be rising rapidly. So protecting air is very important. How to protect air? Whatever causes air pollution, the kind of fuel you use for transportation, for mobility, that is the cause of environmental degradation for air, which causes all kinds of lung diseases. So what is the reason for lung disease? You have damaged environment. Then kind of, so air is another one. I'm just speaking in short because I know I'm running out of time. Then take waste. Everywhere in all our cities we are finding there's a piles and piles and piles of solid waste, municipal waste. How do you deal with that? If you deal with it by segregating it, what is biodegradable, what can the nature itself adopt, it causes no problem. In fact, it is a nutrition for the soil if you have to do it properly. So managing the waste in accordance with the nature. Then brings the question about then what happens to items like plastics, which are not biodegradable. So why do you create an item on the planet which cannot be biodegradable? Or can you recycle it in a manner that nothing will remain and not leave any footprint on the planet? So the whole idea is how do you live in harmony with nature to prevent diseases? The human waste, which is body waste, plus the waste that we create because of a lifestyle, the throwaways that we use and throw it out, all of that causes diseases. So diseases are cause of environmental degradation. So I'm very happy that Priyanand ji has kept this topic. So there's a direct link between environment and diseases. Environment and pandemic or even epidemic. Pandemic becomes later with all over the world. Any epidemic. Diseases becomes epidemic, epidemic becomes pandemics. That's the scalability. But all of that has some link with environment. And environment is a very broad issue. It deals with land, it deals with water, it deals with air. And in addition to that, it deals with our lifestyle. The old days, we used to live in harmony with trees. If you watch any old movie or you read any old literature of India, whether it is in Bengal or South, I keep reading. I don't know so many languages, but I read the translation of that. So I read many books of many great authors from different parts of the country and also of the world. But in the country, when you read that literature about 70, 80, 100 years ago, you will see that there was so much. The literature was influenced by nature because there was so much of nature available. Everywhere there was nature. In Bihar, there was a huge forest. There's the rivers flowing. Today also there are, but the flow has gone down. You cannot imagine how beautiful India was. The Britishers came to India and many invaders came to India to invade country because we are rich. And rich in what? Rich in biodiversity, rich in water, rich in land. The soil was very fertile. So all of that is environment. So we're rich because we are biodiversity. दाल दाल पर सोने की चिड़िया करती बसेरा, वो भारत देश है मेरा. वो भारत देश मेरा क्या था? पहले तो सोने की चिड़िया थी, लेकिन डाल डाल पर थी. अभी डाल ही नहीं है. पेड़ नहीं है तो डाल कहां से आएंगे? और डाल नहीं है तो चिड़िया तो सोने की छोड़ दी, चिड़िया भी कहां से आएगी? आजकल चिड़िया दिखाई भी नहीं देती. आपने भी इसका एहसास किया होगा. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि हमारी देश की विविधता, देश की बायोडाइवर्सिटी was our wealth. We have lost the wealth and now got the diseases. If you want to have a healthy society, before we become wealthy society, first we should be healthy, then we can become wealthy. Or wealth will be lost in protecting the health. So health and wealth must go hand in hand. And if you want healthy society, then only become wealthy society. We must take care of environment. प्रकृति की रक्षा, प्रकृति का संवर्धन और उसके साथ में अपने जीवन शैली को जोड़ना, यही हमारे जीवन का मूल तत्व बन सकता है, होना चाहिए. इसलिए प्रियानंद जी और उनके सभी साथियों को, जो मेरे भी साथी है, मेरे मित्र भी है, आज सबको मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं कि ऐसे बहुत अहम विषय के ऊपर आपने आज के विचार की संगोष्ठी का आयोजन किया. तो मुझे मालूम है मेरे बाद में बहुत बड़े विज्ञान लोग इसके ऊपर अपना विचार रखेंगे. मुझे 3:45 को ही दूसरे कार्यक्रम में जाना था, इसके लिए मैंने विनती की थी कि 45 मिनट का समय मुझे दे दीजिए, फिर मैं दूसरे कार्यक्रम में जाऊंगा, क्योंकि ये कार्यक्रम मुझे नहीं छोड़ना था. क्योंकि आप, ये कार्यक्रम मेरा भी कार्यक्रम है. आपका जो लक्ष्य है, ये भी मेरी उम्मीद रही है. आपकी जो चाहत है, ये मेरे जीवन का पहलू बन गया है कि पर्यावरण के साथ साथ चलना, पर्यावरण की रक्षा करना, पर्यावरण का संवर्धन करना और पर्यावरण के विषय को लेते हुए जीवन जीना. इसलिए मैं मानता हूं कि हमारे देश के बहुत बड़े ज्ञानी, विद्वान और देश के नेता रह चुके डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर हो, महात्मा गांधी जी हो. वैसे तो छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज ने कहा था कि जो पेड़ तोड़ेगा, कोई पेड़ काटेगा तो उसके हाथ काट दो. उस समय क्या पेड़ की कमी थी? 400 साल पहले शिवाजी महाराज यहाँ पर थे. 400 साल पहले पेड़ की कमी थी? भगवान गौतम बुद्ध, जब वो भगवान नहीं थे, गौतम भी नहीं थे, बुद्ध भी नहीं थे, वो थे सिर्फ राजा अपने देश के. राहुल जी अपने महल से बाहर निकले, मन तो बना चुके थे कि अभी हमको महल को छोड़ना है, ऐसे राजा का जीवन नहीं जीना है, क्योंकि विश्व के सब जो दुखी लोग हैं उनका दुख दूर करना है। जब निकले थे तो उन्होंने देखा रास्ते पे पानी से लेते हुए लोग झगड़ रहे थे। उस समय पानी की कमी थी, कितना पानी होगा, आबादी भी कम थी, फिर भी लोग झगड़ रहे थे। तो पानी एक समस्या का मूल काफी सालों से रह चुका है। तो आज तो हमने उसको नष्ट करके और भी समस्या बढ़ा दी है। लेकिन पहले से बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी भी जानते थे, गौतम बुद्ध जी की भी ये धारणा थी, महात्मा गांधी जी की ये प्रेरणा थी, छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज का ये कहना था कि रक्षा कीजिए पर्यावरण की। क्योंकि वो लोग सब जानते थे, जानकार थे, बुद्धि थे, बहुत बड़े समाज के चिंतित थे समाज की समस्याओं से। इसलिए उनको ये बात की बिल्कुल प्राथमिकता थी। आज मैं आप सबको हाथ जोड़ के विनती करूंगा कि आज जो महामारी है कोरोना वायरस कोविड, उसको दूर करना है तो जो साइंटिस्ट है उनको अपना काम करने दीजिए वैक्सीन बनाने के लिए। वैसे तो मैंने भी हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में मांग की थी कि पूरे विश्व को कोविड-19 का सामना करने के लिए एक वैक्सीन बननी चाहिए। जब मैंने सऊदी अरेबिया में कहा था, जब इतनी बड़ी समस्या नहीं थी, तो ये वैक्सीन तो बननी चाहिए, लेकिन वैक्सीन मरीज को ठीक करेगी, लेकिन पर्यावरण की रक्षा करेंगे तो मरीज बनेंगे भी नहीं। एक दिन जरूर इस विश्व से चले जाएंगे, सबको जाना ही है, लेकिन जब तक हम यहाँ रहेंगे, एक गुड क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ वी कैन लिव विद गुड क्वालिटी ऑफ वाटर, गुड क्वालिटी ऑफ एयर, गुड क्वालिटी ऑफ लैंड, एंड फॉर डूइंग दैट वी हैव टू मेंटेन एनवायरमेंटल बैलेंस। तो मैं आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ और मैं उम्मीद रखता हूँ कि ऐसे मौके बार बार मिलेंगे, जब सिर्फ आपसे बात करने का नहीं तो आपके साथ काम करने का भी मौका मिलेगा। आपने एक अच्छा गांव बनाया है, जो गांव मैं भी आके उसको वहाँ आके देखना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि मैं 2000 गांव में कोंकण में एक प्रयोग 25 साल से कर रहा हूँ कि किस तरह से आदमी खुद प्रेरित होकर, स्वयं प्रेरित बनते हुए अपनी खुद की तरक्की करे। जो आज प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक हमें नारा दिया है कि आत्मनिर्भर भारत, आत्मनिर्भरता स्वयं प्रेरिता के कारण ही आनी चाहिए। वो करने के लिए आप सबके साथ काम करने का मौका मिलेगा, ऐसा मैं विश्वास रखता हूँ। आप सबको धन्यवाद देता हूँ। जय हिंद।
जय हिंद सर, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your kind words. Now
I would like to request Dr. Satyapal Meena sir, Joint Director of the Income Tax, to enlighten us.
Good afternoon to all. It's a great privilege and honor to be part of this webinar, which is hosted by EcoNeed Foundation, Professor Priyanand Agade sir. He is the person who is taking this eco-revolution movement and created awareness in the society. We are lucky to have Suresh Prabhu sir in the morning, in the session beginning, who has given a brief detail about environment and diseases. Now, how the environment is important for all of us. That has been discussed, and he has shared his valuable experience, as told Sri Priyanand Agade sir. He has vast experience in decision making. He was a parliamentarian for a long time. So I congratulate EcoNeed Foundation and Priyanand Agade sir and his team for conducting such a wonderful seminar on a webinar on a burning issue. Sir, I have learned a lot about environment, and I work with you under your guidance, and I am lucky enough to join EcoNeed Foundation and Eco Revolution. Sir, we are facing this time which never seen before by the humanity. At least the generations which are living with us have never seen such a human crisis. And the crisis we are talking about, the main source, main cause of this problem, which indicated Suresh Prabhushar, and he told that the subsequent inquiry researches will prove that this pandemic came from the animals or the nature to the human beings. This is the time which we are watching very closely how the environment is reviving after closing down all the development activities. I have seen some videos where the Punjab, Amritsar people have shared that they could see the Himalayas from Amritsar. This is a nature itself serving, saving. But after this pandemic or lockdown issue, the same thing will happen. We all will come on the job, will start working, factories will start, vehicles will start, and we again start exploiting nature in the same manner. So this is the time when we have to think. We have to plan for future, for our generation. If we want to save our generation, if we want biodiversity, nature, we have to think. There are a lot of researches which clearly indicating that development and exploitation or over exploitation of natural resources is creating such a dangerous problem for existence of humanity itself, which I feel, friends, that environment must be the top priority for, not for the society, not for the nation, for international community. This is a time we cannot live in isolation. The communities, the corporations, the countries have to come together to fight, to save our environment, our nature. Now the problem like a globalization, global warming is not restricted to one country. If something happening in a nearby country, neighboring country, or far away in Australia or New Zealand or South America, it is going to affect India, Asia, European country, or America, all. So as a think tank, policy maker, we have to plan, we have to think how we can preserve, we can protect our environment, and we can save it for our future generations. How we can save the humanity, which I feel the balance is required. It is a fact that no country will stop its development activity. It will not stop their growth, exploitation of natural resources, but same time we have to plan, we have to develop in such a manner that we can save our environment and we can grow without destroying our nature. Presently, all the issues are globalized. The technology which we are using, We all know that what technology we are interacting with each other. The AI, how the taking safe in future. The global issues other than environment. All these issues are global. All these issues are affecting human being collectively. So the country should come forward. The people should come forward to work over environment, work for environment to protect. And the best way is that the developed country or the developed people in the societies, they should come forward. They should determine, they should commit that they must spend some amount of the GDP for the environment. It is estimated by the economist as along with the environmentalist that if we spent 1 and 1.5 GDP of the world, we can save our environment. When we can spend a huge amount on security, on developing nuclear weapons, we can spend huge amount for our luxury. I'm not against anyone's taking facility or enjoying his wealth, but I'm against exploiting the environment. I've seen, I have witnessed the people during pandemic are fighting for food. People are suffering for water. But same time, there is section of the society who is misusing or having access all these natural resources. So the thought process have to change. I'm not supposed to waste a single glass of water in my house, single chapati in my house if I'm concerned for environment, if I'm concerned for humanity. As a society, we have to develop this culture. We have to inculcate these values in our kids. So, in my opinion, my friends, the issue of environment is a very vast. It starts from my kitchen, my home, my house, my bedroom, and reaches to the world, to the national level, international level, to the global community. I'm thankful that Professor Priyanand Agade is working with a full zeal for environment, and he has put a sustainable development model for rural India. We are thankful that he is guiding from the front, he is working from the front, and I am sure these small initiatives and steps will help us to protect the environment. But same time, we have to put the pressure, we have to try our best to pressurize our policymaker, our government, through NGOs, through pressure groups, or different modes, whatever we can use in present era, to work in such a manner, to make such a policy that we can grow, we can develop, but with environment, with the support, with the help of the environment, without causing damage to the environment. And that is possible. The technology which we are using, that can be used. I request all the technologists, the people who are working in the technology, they should develop the technology which can save water, which can save the environment. During this pandemic, I have seen closely how much water is being wasted for cleaning the utensils. I request Priyanand Agade sir to come forward with such a model for construction of houses, that water from kitchen should be utilized for toilets or other parts. That is not a big deal. We can save thousands of 1,000 liter water. In our house, we are using this thing. So in last, I will say, we have to work for environment. We have to learn from this pandemic that we love our kids, we love our generation, we love our colleague, friends, human being. We must start working for environment. From starting from own house, own life, own offices, on society, on city, then on country, and the international. I'm again thank Mr. Priyanand Agde and all the participants for giving me opportunity, listening you all, learning a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Satyapal Meena, sir. You are the real energy behind the total whole team and energy for us. Sir, what the suggestions you have made definitely that are helpful for the preparedness of the pandemic through environmental care. I request to the former Vice Chancellor, Dr. B.A. Chopde sir, to put his words on this webinar. Dr. Parag sir, Professor in the College of Engineering, Pune, Maharashtra State. He is the head of the Environment Department. So I request the Dr. Parag sir to say a few words and regarding to the environment and pandemic preparedness.
First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Priyanand Agde and his team for arranging this webinar. And Dr. Suresh Prabhu sir has mentioned the various things about the environment as well as this COVID-19. So long back he was working as an environmental minister also. He has taken the good efforts to work towards on these for the better environment. And on these particular occasion, we are able to know that due to the urbanization, these COVID-19 is concentrated on the areas where the urban pockets are there. So similarly, the urban pockets are causing the environmental problems also. So now it is the time for us to think about what solutions we are able to, sustainable solutions we are give for this urbanization and the environment. So some recommendations I would like to put in front of these in the webinar. That first, for the better management of the urban areas, if we are able to upgrade or provide all the facilities as good as in the urban areas to in the rural areas and the semi-urban areas, like internet connections, water, road, and that, so that the people are able to stay there and they can work there. And as in these COVID-19, we are find out that work from home is one of the good opportunity. People are working to do the work, so that can be extended in the partial forms, so that it will reduce the vehicle movements, as well as due to that there is reduction in the fuel consumption, there is reduction in the associated pollution, that is the soil, water, air, as well as the solid waste also. Similarly, it will impact the noise pollution also. And third thing which we can able to do the personally, that is if we are able to do the personal usable containers for our food, water, as well as the beverages, so it will help for our safety also in the future also. And another thing is that it will also reduce the plastic waste load, which is the government policy government want to apply for the future as well as that. So it will reduce the plastic waste also. So if we are able to implement that globally also, then it will definitely help us for the better environment and the sustainable environment with the progress in the economy of India. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sajgir sir, for your recommendation. I request to the Dr. Chopde sir, former Vice Chancellor of the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar University. Chopde sir, please give your recommendation on this webinar.
Okay, at the moment, I would like to thank you, Professor Dr. Priyanandaji Agde of the EcoNeed Foundation and Eco Revolution Group based in Aurangabad. I just heard the lecture, I think, of the very eminent, I think, speaker, Honorable, I think, Surajji Prabhu, who was a former Minister of Environment, Government of India, New Delhi, about his view in environment and pandemic preparedness. Now, on this occasion, I would like to give my views about the environment and pandemic preparedness. All of you know that whole world is affected by this pandemic on very, very large scale. And to the best of my knowledge, this is the first pandemic of its kind in entire ethnic history of mankind. And therefore, it has affected whole mankind in general. And since last 3 months, whole world is locked down. And because of lockdown, many issues are concerned. Many issues, I think, are involved with respect to the COVID-19, the healthcare, and the most important part is about our environment in general. Now, due to the lockdown, there has been observation that air has become much more pure, much more free from pollution. So quality of air has been improved very significantly in India as well as all over the world. And that's because I think of the less traffic of the vehicles, the aeroplanes, the trains, the industries, all are closed. And because of that, emission of carbon has been completely stopped. So air is very, very pure. Besides air, the water which we drink, the water quality has also become a very, very good quality water because of the stopping, I think, of the water voyages, water, I think, transport, and most important thing, the control, I think on this, I think the people, movement of the people across, I think, different countries in the world. At the same time, all the restaurants, the hotels, the public places has been completely closed. This all indicate that everybody is sitting at home, stay healthy, and stay safe. So whole world for the first time had stayed home since after 2.5 months to 3 months, I think. In view of the background, a question comes, what is COVID-19? Let me tell you, the coronaviruses are not new to science of microbiology or science of virology. For example, you must have heard, we had in the past the infections of coronaviruses. For example, in 2013 and 2012, the variant of corona called as a sarcoviruses was a type of a virus which came from a corona group of the family of the viruses, I think. And where large number, I think, the viral cases or epidemics, I think, or infections, I think, throughout the country from time to time. But the COVID-19, this particular virus has been considered to come from animals. And as you know, the first corona case, which was detected in Wuhan province of China, sometimes I think December 2019. And from that onwards till today, almost 5 months, the whole world is witnessing the coronavirus, I think. And therefore, it's very, very important how to control the coronavirus, I think, in that, a corona infection in general. Now, it's very, very important that people say infection of corona is mainly through your respiratory tract. And therefore, it's very, very important that we must make sure that our respiratory tract remains healthy. We must not suffer. We must take precautions not to suffer from the cough, cold, fever, temperature, and your hygiene up your cough, up your throat has to be a very, very good quality, I think. Now, it is said that corona infection enters your respiratory virus and then I think spreads to different parts of the body. And then I think, it multiplies there, I think, and causes, I think, different, I think, the failures of organs, I think, and ultimately the mortality rate is very, very high. But it's very, very important to understand there are many cases in which the people have been recovering from coronaviruses too. For example, the recovery rate of coronavirus infection is more than 97%. That means the death rate of the corona is between 2.5 at maximum rate. So this clearly indicates we don't have to worry about the corona infection as such, provided if we take certain precautions, I think, our treatment in time, I think. It's very important to know that, I think, the corona infections are now present in all parts of the world, I think. And therefore the question comes, how to take precautions, I think, for coronaviruses, I think, I believe that COVID-19 is not only a medical problem, it's also a social problem. And you must have heard that keeping the social distance is of paramount importance, I think. All over the world, people are keeping social distance in the public places, in the meetings, in the working places, and even in the family. People are trying to keep the social distance in such a way that we doesn't come in close contact with each other. And that's one of the first steps, I think, important thing, parameter of, I think, control of the coronaviruses. The second important thing, I think, which we have to do is we have to wash your hands very, very thoroughly with the help of a soap, at least 10 to 15 times. And remember, whenever you wash your hands with the soap and the water, make sure that the soap remains, I think, in contact with the skin at least for 20 seconds. That means we have to wash your hands very, very, I think, thoroughly. Now, if you have the background, I must tell you, okay, what are some of the problems which can be, I think, studied, I think, for understanding, I think, the coronavirus in general. The first of all, and the most important thing is understanding the dynamics, I think, the transmission of the coronavirus or COVID-19 virus, I think. It's very, very important to know that coronaviruses or COVID-19 is transmitted through droplets, through sneezing, hand coughing, and all. If person sneeze and some formats of the person who has that kind, I think, of the background comes in contact with the other healthy person, he may catch the COVID infection in general. Because coronaviruses or COVID-19 remains 7 to 8 hours, on various surfaces in general. Maybe, I think, very surface in general. And therefore, we have to take a lot of, I think, precaution for the same. And therefore, I think prevention, I think, of this, I think, COVID-19 is the first most important thing. Now the question comes, is COVID-19 transmitted from the air? So far, there is no, I think, any information, I think, available, no scientific data available on transmission of COVID-19 through airborne or through air, I think, through air or air, I think, processes, I think. And therefore, we need to do more studies, more analysis, more work in this direction. As I said to you, when person coughs or person sneezes, thousands and thousands of droplets are released by one person. And they may travel along with the air. And if this air is inhaled by a person nearby or some distance, they may catch the COVID-19 or corona infections, I think. And from this point of view, it's very, very important to understand we have to have a clear surveillance of the COVID-19 infections in real time. That's, I think, the most important thing. Then question comes, I think, how can able to do, I think, this, I think, PPE, public protection equipment, I think. For example, I think the face shield, I think, or for example, face masks, I think, different kinds, I think, of the mask which you use, I think, for example, N90 mask, I think, the use of the mask, the cleanliness of the mask, efficiency of the mask, disclosure of the mask, all these things need to be, I think, taken into consideration, I think. And here, what I believe is this: we need to understand, or we need to undertake various case studies. For example, it's a very interesting story. There are some mothers which were positive to the COVID-19. However, when they gave birth to the child, the infant was found to be COVID negative. It's very interesting. And therefore, this one more case study. And there may be thousands and hundreds of cases of this type. And therefore, from medical point of view, we must study how come the infant is not got COVID-19 from the mother, I think. There are some examples of second case studies. There are certain senior citizens which are more than 90 years old or more than 100 years old. And when they are found to be corona positive, they were given a treatment for the corona. They are isolated, they are quarantined, they are hospitalized. And after 15 to 20 days of hospitalization and medical treatment, they recovered from the corona and became, I think, the free from the corona, I think. And therefore, what's the more important thing is that we need to do the meta-analysis of COVID infections, I think. These are the isolated cases. But what is the meta-analysis? And this kind of study, I think, we must, I think, able to take into, I think, the account, I think. One more point, I think, which I think concern to mind, I think, about environment, I think. As you know that because of the COVID-19, we have been observing migration of the people from cities to villages. And to the best of my knowledge, this is a unique migration in the human history of the people migrating from big cities to their respective villages, I think, to avoid from the, or to get rid, I think, of the COVID-19 infections, I think. And during migration, they walk for the thousands of kilometers, thousands of the miles. They walk by barefoot, or they go by the bus or train. And here, if we do not follow the social distancing, if we do not take the precautions, I'm afraid this migration may lead to enhanced number, I think, of the COVID cases in the throughout the various parts of the country, I think. As I said to you, impact of the COVID on environment has been tremendous. For example, I said before, the air is different, it is free from pollution, air is more breathable, it's more clean, less density, I think, of the particles, water is potable, water is clean, free from pollution. Even the animals, I think, are also, I think, free from, I think, the human, I think, the encroachment. We saw number of, I think, the birds coming on, airports, on tracks of airport. Because I think total, I think, all the airports, all the airplanes, I think, air travel is stopped. And the birds are enjoying the tracks, I think, of the airplanes, I think. Same, I think, for the plants. Because of less human intervention, I think, the rate of cutting of the plants has come down. So from the plant survival point of view, plant biodiversity point of view, it's more protected, more safe than before, I think. And therefore, it's very, very important to understand, can we establish the role of environment in transmission of COVID-19, I think. In other words, is COVID-19 infection transmitted from the water? Is transmitted from the birds? Or from the air? Or from the food which we eat, I think. There has been evidence from the Wuhan, I think, Wuhan in general, that COVID has been transmitted from birds, from wild animals to humans by consuming the meat of such, I think, such kind of the animals, I think. But we need to have a very concrete evidence, I think, for this kind of the observation in general. But it is my observation, disease transmission from animals to human, they are on the rise, I think. In other words, the zoonotic diseases have been increasing throughout the world. And this is a matter of the concern with respect, I think, to corona-like infections and particularly COVID-19 infections, I think. And this is all because, I think, unprecedented destruction, I think, of wild habitats by human activity. Unfortunately, we have destroyed our forests, our jungles, our plants, we have destroyed our biodiversity, which affected the complete environment in general. Climate change has taken place, and all these things are responsible for this kind, I think, of the havoc in general. And therefore, I believe the nature has given a very clear message with the help of corona pandemic and ongoing climate crisis. Look, man, we have to be careful. The way you handle the nature, the way you protect, the way you disturb the nature, this important message we'll have to, I think, keep in mind. I want to tell you that we have to protect our biodiversity, protect our animals, flora, fauna, and even the microbial population in general. And you know that now Wuhan has officially banned eating of wild animals. At the same time, illegal trafficking, I think, of the wildlife trade has to completely, I think, stop. We need to do more research on genetics, I think, And if you do more research on genetics, then probably protecting your environment will be able to help such kind of the pandemics, I think, in general. And from this point of view, I also feel that in case, I think, that the wild animals in general, animals in particular, and the other habitats, I think, we must stop the deforestation. We must increase our forest areas throughout the world. And this is how, I think, this kind of the approach will be able to help to maintain our biodiversity, to maintain environment, I think, in general. And here we must develop a strong bond of our relationship, I think, with that of the nature. I sincerely feel that I believe the COVID-19 is not only a medical problem. The COVID-19 is also a social problem. And here I believe different kind of social scientists like psychologists, sociologists, anthropologists, social scientists, social workers, political scientists, economics, and historians, and public health workers and paramedical workers have to be taken into consideration dealing with the pandemic, COVID pandemic in general, I think. And here I believe that, we need to have a multidisciplinary approach, I think, of science that can able to strengthen the control, I think, of our COVID-19 pandemic in general. And let me tell you that, I think, everybody is concerned when you're able to ease the lockdown. How will you able to ease the lockdown? Where are you going to ease the lockdown? How long lockdown is going to remain with us? And my friends, I must tell you, probably this lockdown due to Corona-19 may extend up to December. And or if things are not controlled in a proper way, probably we have to live with the COVID in our day-to-day life, I think. And therefore, following the precautions, I think, about the COVID-19, that the environment, I think, of all the engineering scientists for the mitigation, I think, of mitigation of COVID-19 infection is need of the time. And from that point of view, I believe that we need to do more research for the control, I think, of COVID-19 infection in general. And I believe that here I want to tell you that recently, in this month only, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, which is called DST, has published one call for research papers under United States, America and India Collaborative Environmental Health Research Program. And 21st of May, 2020, this advertisement has been published by DST, Government of India, and they called upon for research proposals in the various area of environmental health research. anything related to the environment and the health is a part of this, I think, the program. And here you can able to grant up to 1.5 crores. And therefore, I appeal, I think, to the, and the last date of submission of on the application is 15th of September 2020. And therefore, I appeal to all young professors in the colleges and universities, research scholars, I think, NGOs, I think, research organization, those who are interested, I think, for this kind of the research projects, they can able to apply, I think, apply, I think, to this, I think, program, I think, the funding is, I think, tremendous, I think, and plus you're able to collaborate, I think, with the different national institutes and universities in the United States of America. And the focus area in this case also is ambient air pollution, I think, and impact of ambient air pollution onto the COVID-19 infections in general. Kindly go to this, I think, the call of proposal, which on the website, I think, of the DST, and make benefit of this, I think. Finally, I sincerely feel this, I think, I have given my views, I think, very clearly, I think, how can I able to, I think, the stop, I think, the pandemic, I think, of the COVID-19. As I said to you, prevention is better than cure. Let all of us take all the preventions. And if we take preventions very, very scientifically and properly and very meticulously, certainly we'll be able to overcome the infection from the COVID. And I hope different laboratories all over the world are busy, are trying for the development of the vaccine. And hopefully by October, end of October, the vaccine for the COVID-19 will be available. And that will be a biggest, I think, booster for the treatment of COVID-19. One thing I must tell you, don't be afraid of COVID-19 infections. Remember, COVID-19 is curable. The recovery rate of COVID-19 is 97.5%. And therefore, don't be afraid, be positive, be strong, be healthy. And that's my message to all people from India. On this occasion, I must thank Dr. Priyanand Agre for inviting me for this particular discussion, giving me the opportunity. And I look forward many more opportunities, such opportunities in the future where I'll be able to interact more and more and more with you all. With this, thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
So much, sir, for your thoughtful insight. Now I would like to invite Ravindra Kanere, sir, to the floor and see if he can share his thoughts.
नमस्कार प्रोफेसर अगेली जी, सबसे पहले आपको बहुत बधाई इस तरह के वेबिनार के आयोजन के लिए। मैंने बहुत ध्यान से प्रोफेसर सुरेश प्रभु जी और प्रोफेसर की बातचीत सुनी। पर्यावरण के बारे में भी और कोविड के बारे में भी बहुत विस्तार से चर्चा हो चुकी है। उन बातों को दोहराने की अब आवश्यकता नहीं है, लेकिन इस लॉकडाउन 1, 2, 3, 4 के समय जो हमने एक अजीब सी स्थिति देखी है उस पर जरूर चर्चा करना चाहेंगे। जिस समय लोगों का माइग्रेशन प्रारंभ हुआ, और ये माइग्रेशन अचानक नहीं हुआ बल्कि सरकारों ने इसे प्रायोजित किया, चाहे मुंबई में हो या दिल्ली में हो, इस तरह की अफवाहें फैलाई गई कि बसेस उपलब्ध हैं, ट्रेन उपलब्ध हैं और लोग स्टेशन पे पहुंचे। इस कारण से हजारों की संख्या में लोग रेलवे स्टेशन पर, बस स्टैंड पे पहुंचे और उसके बाद एक ऐसी स्थिति बनी कि सरकार को अंततः यह निर्णय लेना पड़ा कि इन मजदूरों को या श्रमजीवियों को जहां से वे आए हैं उनके घर जाने की समुचित व्यवस्था की जाए। पिछले 70 साल से सभी राज्य सरकारें, भारत सरकार निरंतर ये प्रयास करती रही है कि विकास हो, और सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के अंतर्गत ये कहा जाता है कि विकास का लाभ पंक्ति में अंतिम छोर पर खड़े हुए व्यक्ति तक पहुंचना चाहिए। मार्च के आखिर में लॉकडाउन जारी हुआ, मार्च की सैलरी उनके खाते में जमा कर दी गई और अप्रैल आते आते अगर एक महीने में श्रमिक के पास उसके खाने पीने के लिए पैसा नहीं था, रहने के लिए घर नहीं था, तो हमें ये विचार करने की जरूरत है कि 20 साल पहले गांव से छोड़कर शहर में माइग्रेट हुआ मजदूर क्या 20 साल में इतना भी पैसा नहीं कमा पाया कि वो एक माह अपने परिवार का गुजारा कर सके, तो फिर हमने कैसा विकास किया है और किसकी कॉस्ट पे किया है? ये बहुत बड़ी सोशल प्रॉब्लम है। अब जब ये लाखों की संख्या में ये मजदूर अपने गांवों को लौट रहे हैं या लौट चुके हैं, तो उनके सामने दो तरह की समस्या आएंगी। पहली चीज ये है कि गांव में जो मकान थे उसमें जो पहले से लोग रह रहे हैं, ये अतिरिक्त रूप से जाने के बाद स्थान की कमी पड़ रही है और आपसी विवाद उत्पन्न हो रहे हैं। और दूसरी स्थिति एक और उत्पन्न होगी कि वहां पर इनके लिए रोजगार की कोई व्यवस्था नहीं है। प्रोफेसर अगाले जी ने जो प्रोजेक्ट चलाए हैं उसके अंतर्गत इनका ये प्रयास था कि ऐसे गांव विकसित होना चाहिए जो सेल्फ सस्टेन डेवलपमेंट करते हों। भारत सरकार ने अपनी योजना के अंतर्गत एक बहुत बड़ी राशि ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट के लिए रखी है जिसमें कि गांव में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विकास की जरूरत है। ये श्रमिक जो गांव में गए हैं, इनके लिए जो मनरेगा फंड जारी किया गया है, इस मनरेगा फंड में केवल मिट्टी खुदाना और गड्ढे खुदाकर इधर की जमीन में उधर फेंकना, इससे काम बनने वाला नहीं है। अब हमको निश्चित प्रोजेक्ट लेना चाहिए तालाबों के निर्माण के, तालाबों के गहरीकरण के, और मनरेगा में जब राशि दी जाए तो उसके साथ लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया जाए कि कितना बड़ा तालाब बनाया जाएगा, तब हम ये काम ठीक से कर पाएंगे। दूसरी जो उनको फिश कल्चर के लिए ट्रेनिंग देने की जरूरत है, बी कल्चर के लिए ट्रेनिंग देने की जरूरत है, और गांव में उत्पन्न होने वाले जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उनकी फूड प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट की जरूरत है। इन प्रोसेसिंग आपने देखा होगा कि पिछले 5-10 साल में बड़ी संख्या में मोटरसाइकिलों की बिक्री हुई। इसका कारण ये था कि जब प्रधानमंत्री सड़क योजना के अंतर्गत हर गांव को जोड़ने के लिए सड़क बनी, जिसमें 12 महीने कनेक्टिविटी हो गई थी, तो गांव से माइग्रेशन रुक गया और लोग शहर में न आके आसपास के गांव में ही वो रहते थे, दिन भर काम करके वापस चले जाते थे। शहरों में आकर इनको झुग्गी झोंपड़ी में रहना पड़ा। धारावी जैसी बस्तियों का निर्माण हुआ जहां न तो पर्यावरण का ध्यान हम रख पा रहे हैं, न बीमारी को रोक पा रहे हैं। इसलिए कोविड के कारण उत्पन्न परिस्थिति, उत्पन्न चैलेंज को एक अवसर की तरह लेते हुए जो भारत सरकार ने फंड उपलब्ध कराया है, उस फंड में से यदि हो सके तो इको फाउंडेशन को कुछ प्रोजेक्ट अपने हाथ में लेना चाहिए और उन प्रोजेक्ट के अंतर्गत हमें ऐसा विकास करके दिखाना चाहिए कि प्रत्येक गांव सेल्फ सस्टेन रहे, वहां पर उत्पन्न जो प्रोडक्ट हैं उसका वैल्यू एडिशन किया जा सके, उसकी मार्केटिंग की जा सके, और जो माइग्रेशन 20 साल पहले गांव से शहर में हुआ और आज शहर से गांव में हुआ है, उसको तीसरी बार माइग्रेट करने की जरूरत न पड़े और अमानवीय परिस्थिति में उनको वापस इधर से उधर न जाना पड़े। इन बातों को यदि हम ध्यान रख पाए तो कोविड से उत्पन्न चैलेंज को एक अवसर में हम बदल पाएंगे। पर्यावरण के संबंध में जो दो इशू सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट श्री सुरेश प्रभु जी ने भी उठाए थे, वो था नदियों से दोहन और बायोडायवर्सिटी का। अभी देखने में ये आ रहा है कि नदियों से जो रेत निकाली जा रही है वो बिना किसी अनुपातिक काम के हो रहा है। इसके कारण नदियों की धारा बदल जाती है या नदियां अपना स्थान छोड़ रही हैं। इसलिए बहुत जरूरी है कि आईआईटी या ऐसे बड़े इंजीनियरिंग संस्थान इन बात का सर्वे करें कि किन नदियों से कितनी रेत निकाली जा सकती है, उतने की ही खदानें आवंटित की जाएं। अन्यथा हम इन नदियों को इनका स्थान बदलने के लिए विवश कर देंगे या इन नदियों को सुखा देंगे या फिर फ्लड के सिचुएशन हम ले आएंगे। दूसरा काम है तालाबों के गहरीकरण का, जिसको प्राथमिकता से लिया जाना चाहिए, और गांव में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के अंतर्गत जो स्वास्थ्य सेवाएं हैं उनमें सुधार की जरूरत है, क्योंकि विकास के जो इंटरनेशनल पैरामीटर्स हैं उनमें ये भी है कि व्यक्ति का जीवन कितने वर्ष रहता है, बच्चों के मॉर्टेलिटी रेट कितना कम से कम हो, प्राइमरी एजुकेशन की क्या स्थितियां हैं। तो सोशल एस्पेक्ट को हमें देखना बहुत जरूरी हो गया है, और सोशल एस्पेक्ट को देखकर हम विकास के ऐसे मॉडल डेवलप करें जिससे पूरे देश को स्वावलंबन के साथ साथ हमारे प्रत्येक गांव भी स्वावलंबी बन सके, उनकी उपज का उनको वास्तविक मूल्य मिल सके, मानवीय कंडीशन में वे रह सकें, और वे सारी सुविधाएं जो हम शहर में उम्मीद करते हैं उनको प्राप्त हो। तो हम इस प्रकार के जो अनावश्यक माइग्रेशन होता है उसको रोक के और कोविड की स्थिति को एक सुअवसर में बदल के और स्वावलंबी गांव और स्वावलंबी भारत का निर्माण कर सकेंगे। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं अपनी बात समाप्त करता हूं। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
So much for your kind words, sir. Now I would like to ask Mr. Vijay Kumar to speak on this topic.
So first of all, I'm thankful to all my friends, and thankful to Professor Priyanand Agleji for inviting me for this webinar. And as you all know, we were all discussing several things on the environment and COVID. And Dr. Sri Suresh Prabhuji highly motivated keynote address for us today, and he has delivered so many things related to the environment and COVID aspects. As we all know, as COVID cases began to surge in India from the February or end or March first week, the country doubling rate has been increased tremendously during the fourth phase. So in the fourth phase, the doubling rate has been reduced, what you call, it was reduced from 17 days to 14 days, and has now shortened to the 14 days as per the data is provided by the Professor Shamika Ravi, a senior fellow from Brookings Institute, the India Center. So, as we all know, the COVID-19, or you can say the coronavirus, has taught us so many things to the human life or the human beings across the world. Because of this COVID-19, in India especially, we never used to maintain a social distance, and we have learned first time in India that maintaining the social distance from one person to another person, this is a good development, and we have learned from the what we call from this COVID-19. So the growth of the COVID in certain states is alarming, especially if you take the Maharashtra, seems worsening day by day, and other states like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Delhi is showing big recoveries, and also at the same time it is increasing. So we have to learn so many things. Maintaining this distance is not only the most important, but also in India, it was not easy to maintain the social distance. So we have to, take care personally, and all the people have already spoken several things about the environment. Now I want to emphasize that we have to learn from this, COVID-19, so that we have learned so many things from the COVID-19 for the human beings. Anybody knowing the symptom, those people are traveling across the air, by road or by rail, kindly I'll advise all the people to maintain the social distance, and at the same time, if you have find symptoms, please go to nearest hospital, and or you can say nearest go doctor, so that you will not able to spread the COVID-19. So we need not to worry about the COVID-19, because 97% of percentage recovery is there. Only 1.5% death is there. So we have to live with the COVID-19. It is a part and parcel of the life of the human beings in nowadays. So with this, the COVID-19 not only taught us social distance, it also, because of the lockdown since March, almost 2-3 months, the pollution has been reduced tremendously. The air pollution, water pollution, and entirely almost all pollution has been reduced, so that we can maintain the balance in the environment. So this is one, development has taken place from the COVID-19. So anybody, it is, we have to, what you call, If anybody finds these symptoms, they must immediately go to hospital and see that they must not to spread the COVID-19 diseases to the other people, and especially the migrant workers from moving from one state to the other state. They need to give a lot of protection from the different governments of the different states. So this is more important. Government has to take, especially the migrants, because they don't know anything how to maintain. They don't know any about the knowledge about the COVID-19. So the government must ensure to maintain the what you call the information about the COVID-19 to these laborers or the migrant workers who are traveling from across the country from one state to the other state. So with this, we need to live with the COVID-19, and we have to maintain social distance. We have to take precautionary measures, and we have to, learn so many things from this. And personally, we have to take care personally, and till we get the vaccinations. So with these few words, I am thankful to the Priyanand Agle and all the members, fellow members of this ECHO this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time. I request to the Dr. Arvind Kumar Mungre, sir. He is a professor from the MIT Surat. So, sir, please give your recommendation.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Start, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. Suresh Prabhuji told very nicely, and he has also given the vision of our leaders, best leaders, and at the same time many other speakers also taught a lot of regarding this virus COVID-19. Many of the things are covered already, but being a chemical engineer working in the field of environment, so what I want to do, because of I think time is also too much, so I will shorten my views, but on the same time I will have some suggestions in that, because the very first speaker, Dr. Satyapal Meena, rightly said, during this pandemic everything is clean, fortunately, without doing anything. But when everything will start again, then the things will remain as such. So this indicates that during this lockdown period, we have sufficient time to think what mistakes we did and what future possibilities and what we should change, so that the things which are fortunately clean at this moment can remain as such for we people and for next to next generations kind of thing. So for the case of water, air, solid waste and all those things, because environment and the pandemic preparations, because if our environment is not available, means if the environment is not up to the mark or as per the quality standard, there certainly such kind of viruses or any kind of viruses it will attack on human beings. So therefore there is a need to maintain this environment, the ecology of this environment, and for that whatever practices we have, there is a need to change in that. So in that case, I have some suggestions. Like the most important part is I'm including only sewage, not industrial effluents, because human being always concerned about the sewage. So in that case, the sewage quantity and quality both are increasing. Quantity is increasing because of population, and quality because of everything we are dumping at one stage. So that is what is a composite kind of waste. So quality and quantity of sewage is increasing due to urbanization and high standard of living. Water is simply used as a carriage vehicle of excreta in sewerage network. We are simply using excess water to transport this excreta towards sewage treatment plants. So whatever sewage treatment plants we have, so we have lack of treatment systems and conventional systems, whatever we are using, those in current practice, those are simply disposing. So it indicates that disposal is not sanitation. We need sanitation, but it is only disposal. So based on that, based on the data, almost 70% of untreated sewage is simply discharged or disposed into aquatic bodies, aquatic environment. So unfortunately, at the same time, because of the availability of this, This sewage is utilized for agriculture and sometimes illegal washing of vegetables. So there is a fair chance that pathogens, bacteria, viruses, eggs will come in food chain. Then certainly they will attack to human being again. So solution kind of thing need to unlearn all the old practices, and we should need to relearn or to understand again what is sanitation properly. And in that case, on-site treatment seems a best solution. Then next is, in current centralized systems, there is a fair chance of spread of COVID-19 or similar kind of future viruses, because like if any infected person, based on his or her excreta, it will reach towards STP, and at STP generally ASP we are using, and in ASP huge aerators are utilized. So because of that exhaustive aeration, fair chance of the spread of virus in aerosols. So what quantity and up to what distance, it is very difficult to measure that. So its spread would be very high. So the solution would be change of such energy intensive treatment technology where excess air or oxygen is utilized and least degradation occurs. Only in such kind of technology, only conversion towards sludges, and ultimately we are supposed to manage that sludge. Then next is disposal into rivers. This is again a very difficult task. Now the next new threat is disposal in, well aware of fire in lakes. Now what would be the condition if such kind of things will happen for oceans? Then there would be a pool of methane. There is a possibility, and because of that sudden release of methane, and what would be the condition if sudden release of such kind of gases will be there, so it will change the temperature. So solution again, DWATs, decentralized systems. Then next is decentralized system, or the proper understanding of decentralized systems, or DWATs, because making small units for the treatment is not considered as DWATs. We should know what is the meaning of that. So proper understanding of DWATs, on the same time motivation for the adoption of such treatment technology, because waste, when you talk about waste, nobody will be associated with you. But on the same time, if there is any kind of motivation, then certainly everyone will follow you. So what would be the motivation? So motivation in terms of resources, like water, we can generate water for various purposes or applications. It will reduce the stress on our freshwater bodies. Then we can generate nutrients. We can have nutrients stored, urea, etc., etc. Then we can generate energy, biogas or direct electricity, biohydrogen. Then we can generate or produce various organic chemicals. We can make biorefineries. And one more important thing in that, we can generate employment. If we have such kind of technology in the local area, then all those unemployed people can be utilized. So we have a fair chance for generating employment. Okay, then one more aspect is which is lacking. What I thought that interdisciplinary approach, because when you are trying to make such kind of systems or technology, you need multidisciplinary kind of knowledge. So in that case, chemical engineers, biotechnology, microbiology, civil, electrical, electronics, mechanical, all those people are required. So we must integrate all those people, and based on that, we can make all such kind of things. One more aspect I covered in that, DWATs are fairly possible to make our system sustainable. Sustainable indicates 3 E's: environment, economy, and equity. But unfortunately, in current situation, equity is difficult to achieve, because rich, if we see rich versus poor, rich, whosoever is rich is again going to be more rich, and poor is again on the same time. So we should make such system or decentralized system or at on-site treatment, so that everyone should have a fair chance to get everything. Means I'm talking about the life-sustaining resources, like water is essential for everyone. It should be freely available to everyone. But unfortunately, because of our own engineering aspect or our own technology or our own system, what we made this water very costly. In terms of, if you talk about a smart city, there is non-availability of water. which is free for everyone. Similar to that, in next threat is we have a chance that there would not be free air or oxygen. If you have money, you can use that free air or oxygen or air. Otherwise, you take care from yourself. Okay. Then last, what I want to emphasize that there is a need of strong policies and there is strict implementations, because everyone are well aware of all these things. But on the same time, minor things are like solid waste management, simple segregation is required, but unfortunately policies and strict implementation is not there. Rainwater harvesting, again the same thing. Then on the same thing, we talked about DWATs, decentralized systems. So in that case, we must have some strong policies. And lastly, one more aspect is closed loop system, because for the case of sustainability, whatever things we are taking from a reservoir, that then again it should go back into the reservoir. So there must be a closed loop cycle so that we can consider whatever we are doing is sustainable. Finally, we have only one planet where life exists like this Earth. So therefore, this is our duty, this is our responsibility to make this planet as living planet. Unfortunately, researchers are trying to find out life on other planets like Moon, Mars, etc., etc. But it is little bit difficult to survive at that place, because certainly all those people who have money or power, they will only survive at that place. So fortunately, at this moment itself, we have sufficient chance that we can make all these things again repair. So in that suggestions, I want to conclude this. This is a fair chance. We thought all these things, and fortunately, if we can do all these things, then certainly we would have solutions. So thank you very much, Dr. Priyanand Engle, given me this opportunity so that I could keep my suggestions at this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mungre sir. I request to Uma Baluji from the Tamil Nadu head of EcoNeeds Foundation. Madam is a freelance writer and engaged in various projects nationally and internationally. So Uma Balu madam, please give your recommendation and thoughts.
Actually, this has been a very good opportunity to listen to a lot of ideas where individuals and also groups like EcoNeeds Revolution, we can all come together and do something about this. And this lockdown period has actually taught us a lot of things. We can, it has actually educated us on what extent we have been harming the planet, and what exactly we can do to bring nature back to its original conditions. And I'm not an expert in this subject, but I would like to share a couple of points which I have been observing recently. Normally we see a lot of sparrows and crows, especially sparrows and crows, which we used to feed and which used to be found everywhere. But now the population has drastically decreased and it's very difficult to even spot a crow around. So that is one thing. And at the same time, we see a big increase in the population of pigeons and bees. I don't know what is the connection, but I have been observing this everywhere. A lot of bee hives and pigeon nests are all found everywhere. But I don't know what is the connection, but there should be something very interesting. And very recently, we have seen how clear the air has become, how unpolluted the water bodies have become. So there should be some big, like a very important thing that when we went inside, all this has happened. So our presence in this planet, our activities, everyday activities has in some way affected the whole system. So we have to take care of all these things and maybe contribute in a small but in a collective way to make the earth more friendly, greener and less polluted. And one more thing is, two things I would like to share. One is the cleaning of the water which we use, the wastewater, which can be cleaned using the latest technology available. I think there is some new technology developed in Japan as well. And this can be used to treat the water and use that for agriculture. So one wastage is converted into a useful version for another field. So that is one thing. And one more thing I would like to share with all of you is that I have seen a lot of land, dry land, lying unused. So these lands could be fully utilized by introducing greenhouses, and we now have many systems like hydroponics and all these things which have been developed recently. So those we can use without much of land. We can even grow plants, the same plants using water, minimal water. And I very recently saw a video where they're showing lot of greenhouses in a dry area, desert area like Egypt. If Egypt can achieve that, why not be in India? India is not a desert area. Definitely we can do something about this. And I hope with all the experts we have around us, we have contacts with, definitely something can be really done to make our earth cleaner once again. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
After this motivational and dynamic and knowledgeful keynote address and panel discussion, this is the time for conclusion of this session along with few suggestions. So, first of all, as Honorable Suresh Prabhu sir in his address has mentioned that there is a need for protection of the biodiversity for preventing this emergence of coronavirus and further emergence of any such kind of the epidemic. Because in the protection of biodiversity itself includes the prevention of the coronavirus, and also it provides for the medicine for the it could provide the medicines for the diseases like the coronavirus. Secondly, as suggested by Honorable Meena sir, Satyapal Singh ji Meena sir, that there should be the 1 or 1.5% of GDP should be reserved by each nation for the this epidemic type situation and for the conservation of the environment at large, so that we could properly provide the resources for prevention of any epidemic and properly taking care for our environment. Thirdly, the important suggestion is that we should have to develop the permanent quarantine infrastructure at the every entry point in our country, and also that quarantine facility should be provided for the goods also, so that goods should be kept at such a distant area for a certain period of time, so that it could be automatically sterilized and there could be no any danger when the goods enter in our mainland. Again, there are several other suggestions that there should be the formulation of the ratio of population and the area of human settlement, so that we can avoid the closed housing system, and that should be, this formulation should be included in our town planning, so that there could be no any outburst of any epidemic, and there could be due to the closed housing system. Again, we should have to provide more and more urban facilities, amenities in our rural areas, and also we have to provide them the employment at the rural areas, so that we can prohibit the migration from the rural areas to urban areas for the sake of the employment, and so that it could be also helpful for the protection of environment also, and for avoiding such kind of the emergence of the epidemic. Again, as we know that or there are the allegations that this coronavirus has been taken place in the laboratory of Wuhan, which is dealing with this microorganism. So as like we have the atomic reactors, we have the global monitoring system there. So in this labs of microorganisms or new life forms, that global monitoring should be there in every such lab where is we are dealing with the microorganisms and new life forms. Again, there should be the means infrastructural facility and e-facilities in each social, industrial, educational institutions so that we could have avoid the public gatherings and so that there could be the less danger for the spread of communicable diseases like corona. Again, we have to devise international treaty on the line that we should means we have to find out such of the possibility that we should have to use this global lockdown as one of the tools for the protection of the biodiversity, for the protection of the environment, and for avoiding such emergence of communicable disease. Again, we have to expand and strengthen our medical facilities and to make them well equipped to confront with any such kind of the pandemic. Again, in this pandemic, particularly in India, we have seen that for the migration, we require some this administrative formalities, and that much time and has been consumed for the data, for taking the data of particular person for migration, so that our we have to strengthen our Aadhaar system or unique identity system and artificial intelligence so that we can avoid such kind of the delay for the allowing or granting any kind of the administrative permit in any epidemic. And there are so many other suggestions also, but very important is that among that we have to strengthen our public administration system so that it can properly cater our needs of our population. And so for that purpose, we have to make more and more recruitment in our public administration system. And in this corona type epidemic or any other epidemic, due to this lockdown, many of the people's marginalized sector of our society, laborers, farmers, have lost their employment. In this situation, we should have to create one pool that could permanent pool that could provide social security for this marginalized sections of our society. So, along with these few suggestions, I conclude to my this particular address or this suggestion segment and this section, and I'm very much thankful. We all are very much thankful to Honorable Suresh Prabhu sir, and this is a very knowledgeable and enlightening panel discussion for all our from our all delegates and participants. Thank you all.